population. That means there's some demand for that type of school, and you can therefore engage with the local community to say, look, we need a school that champions high moral value. We need a school that will inculcate discipline, because the discipline is across the board. Whatever faith you belong to, you want your child to be responsive. You want your child to be responsible. You want your child to be able to grow up to be a useful member of the community. At the bedrock of this, whether you want to achieve in sports, whether you want to achieve in any professional calling, you need discipline. And what gives you more discipline than faith has not been invented. So you now need to convince your community that, look, we are setting up a school with the primary purpose of not condoning the laxity that is not pervasive in a lot of comprehensive schools. That has not been taken as a norm. I mean, some of the schools, I mean, it's frightening, where there are almost no-go areas that literally crime infested. So if you want to sanitize that as a church, then the best thing you need to do is think seriously, because it will take some time in terms of investment, energy, and effort. But I know most churches are able to do that anyway, because they already run Sunday schools, they run weekly activities, and they have midweek services. So that energy can be re-engaged or redirected to pull in the youths of the community. And by the time they grow up, they become useful members of the society that will then invest in the local community again. And that's what churches are there for. They are beacons of light to give direction to both the old and the youth, the old and the young. But this time, the schools is being used as a useful vehicle to convey that. So it's evangelism in verse, or evangelism in a very subtle way.
Evangelism in a very subtle way.
Yeah, and it definitely works. And to give you an example, it's very interesting that in the UK, we had free education legally granted from 1870. And it was a great thing that children were not in the mines and in the fields and up the chimneys, but they were going to school for 4 or 5 hours. And if we go back 100 years, just before the start of the First World War, practically on every church, on every street corner would be a church, a public house, or a school, because they were that kind of common. And then within the community is a football stadium. And interestingly now, pubs are still on the go, churches are on the wane, cinemas have disappeared, football clubs are bigger than ever. And interestingly, what we find is now that football clubs are also groups who come and establish free schools, because they find that they've got all of these young people who will go to the football ground, many of them who are almost lost, many of them have been expelled from school 9 or 10 times, and the football clubs have been running an education provision, unfunded by the government, but funded by themselves. And they've now seen this opportunity, and they're turning, just as churches are, and saying, well, we could open a free school, and if we had more funding, we could do this. But I do think the church is the second one that, alongside football clubs, has still stayed, you know, with having some, but true, having some resonance in the community, you know.
Quite interesting. Now, we're talking about raising the standard of education in the nation. And Dr. Chris, you have a seminar coming up in Cambridge, How to Top the Class. Tell us more about it and who is eligible to attend.
Yeah, the seminar, the first set of seminars were literally run because a lot of parents did not know what the milestones were in the educational system.
Just like he said, a lot of children go into school at the age of 5, still wearing nappies.
Yes, yeah, because if the parents don't know the milestones or know their responsibilities, they will never know what to do. That's one. Then there are no group of students that know, parents that know what to do, but they don't know how to go about it. They don't understand how valuable, for instance, their local library is. The fact that every single child in the house should have a library membership card and have access to both e-books, electronic, digital materials like CDs and DVDs, and things that may not be available in the school library. The public library will have those ones, and so you can access them through the library. Then the second fact is that the library is more flexible in their opening hours. Most libraries have 1 evening a week that they open, so the family can literally go make that as a trip, get materials there, and be able to complement what the child gets from their school. So if you don't know the milestones, you don't know which educational facilities or opportunities are available to you, your child will literally suffer severely, because these things are available for free. The museums are available for free. How many parents ever think of taking their children to go and see what's in the Science Museum? Or how many parents even know that the Science Museum exists, where there are artifacts and objects that the students can see, touch, and relate to, instead of being locked up in a room and reading pages and pages of textbooks that can be very boring. So you're bringing innovation into it. How many parents understand what the internet is and how that can assist their children be able to access resources that nobody dreamt of 20 years ago? 30 years ago, they were not even available. They were not even in the consciousness of humans, let alone having access to it. So that's what you need when you power your children with these resources and with this particular set of knowledge. So if you're a parent and your child is in Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, 4, or 5, you should book to be in Cambridge because it's free. It's not something you pay for. You just go on Eventbrite, go on our website and click on registering, and it prints out a ticket for you, and then you are able to come and ask questions. If you think that your son used to be motivated in a particular subject and now he's no longer wanting to talk about it, this is a useful thing for you to find out what went wrong and where did it go wrong. Was it with the teaching? Was there a change in teacher? Was there because there was a change in textbook? What has changed? Because the subject still remains the same. The body of the subject is still the same. Or is it because we moved on to a higher level in terms of level of difficulty? That should not be the issue. Once you know what steps are involved in learning a higher level concept. So it's always very useful. It's almost always oversubscribed. The last time we had it, St. Catherine was oversubscribed. This time we're having St. John's in Cambridge, and if you can make it, make it. If you can't make it, then try and make arrangements for someone to represent you.
Someone to represent you. Well,